What's good, fam? Latto thought she could pull up to the Breakfast Club and play the victim, but Cardi B dropped receipts that turned this rollout into a mess. On June 4th, 2026, Latto hit the morning show to talk about her new project that dropped on May 29th, and she was clearly hunting for a viral moment. She finally quit the guessing games and admitted her track, Gimme That, is a direct shot at Cardi's head. When she rapped about a certain person needing to clock it, she was officially firing back at that messy audio of Cardi that leaked in September of 2025. Latto sat there across from Charlemagne, acting like her feelings were truly damaged, while she told everyone she felt completely betrayed. Her entire argument focused on how she went out of her way to record a verse for the Airtime remix just to help Cardi's first week numbers. According to Latto, the two of them were texting like friends before that remix came out, but the energy went cold as soon as the work was finished. She described the whole situation as a deep personal hurt and tried to make it seem like Cardi used her for a feature and talked trash later. This is exactly the kind of drama that fuels a rollout, and for a minute, it looked like Latto successfully made Cardi look like the villain. The internet was running with that betrayal story for a little while, but the problem is that Cardi B does not play around with her reputation. Only a few hours after that interview started catching heat, Cardi jumped on X to flip the script and set the record straight for everyone watching at home. Instead of just denying the claims, she broke down the actual facts regarding that September 30th, 2025 leak that started this entire war. The rapper claimed she meant Latto was being way too forgiving and showed too much mercy in her industry beefs. It was meant to be a commentary on Latto's business strategy rather than a personal insult, but that context got lost when the audio hit. Cardi also reminded the fans that she was 8 months pregnant and extremely stressed out when that recording originally went public. She was dealing with a high-risk pregnancy, and her mind was not in a place to be playing industry chess games with anyone. The real damage to Latto's story happened when Cardi revealed she did not just stay quiet for the last 12 months. Apologies were offered to Latto's manager and sister multiple times during 2025 and 2026, according to Cardi's side. Based on the receipts Cardi shared, Latto was actually the one who ignored every single attempt to fix the relationship behind closed doors. Cardi's point is that Latto ducked those calls on purpose because she wanted to save the drama for her album Rollout. It makes the whole Big Mama campaign look like a calculated plan where Latto picked a viral interview over a real conversation. The Bronx native basically exposed the fact that the hurt feelings Latto brought up were actually just content meant to sell records. While Latto was trying to paint a picture of a backstabber, Cardi proved she was the one trying to act like a professional adult for months. The result was that Latto's big moment on the Breakfast Club ended up looking like a desperate attempt to stay relevant. Cardi effectively ruined the rollout strategy by showing that the conflict only existed because Latto needed it for her marketing. It is nasty work to ignore a pregnant woman's apology for a year just so you can use it to push a project. Cardi managed to turn public opinion back in her favor by proving her communication was consistent while Latto was silent for a script. This move showed that in 2026, you cannot just go on a press tour and tell half the story when there is a digital trail. The drama surrounding Gimme That was supposed to be the peak of the cycle, but Cardi's response made it look like a manufactured trap. Latto thought she was clocking the situation, but Cardi was the one who actually had the receipts to shut the whole thing down. The mess actually started with a leaked phone call involving Cardi and James Rosemond Jr., who is well known as the manager for Ice Spice. This drama never even began as a direct fight between these two women, which is why Latto's energy right now feels so manufactured and forced. Looking back at the original audio from September of 2025, Cardi was caught saying she was not soft like Latto and even mentioned she was not like Nicki Minaj before promising to handle her business. Being compared to Nicki was the ultimate trigger for Latto because she has spent her entire career trying to escape that shadow and prove she is an individual artist. Cardi was actually in the middle of an argument with the team for Ice Spice, and Latto just happened to be the name she used as a random point of comparison. It was a clear case of Latto being collateral damage in a war that had nothing to do with her, and Cardi seemed to realize that as soon as the clip went viral. Instead of hiding from the comments, Cardi issued a public apology on X and even offered to buy Latto a bag while trying to fix the situation behind the scenes. Cardi wanted to keep things professional between two of the biggest women in the industry, but Latto evidently held onto that grudge like a lottery ticket she was just waiting to cash in for a moment. Latto has a major problem because her entire argument falls apart when you see how she used this beef to fuel her Big Mama rollout. This was never some sudden friendship ending that happened overnight, and the receipts prove it was a calculated move that completely backfired on her in the end. When Latto went on that radio show to confirm her track Gimme That was a diss, she was clearly counting on fans to rally behind her as the victim in the situation. Everything changed Once Cardi showed the world she had been trying to apologize privately for months, which shifted the narrative from betrayal to pure clout chasing. The entire promotion for Big Mama now looks like it was built on a foundation of fake drama just to secure a viral moment during her release week. I predict that the sales numbers for Latto are going to be under a massive microscope now because her music is getting overshadowed by a conflict Cardi already tried to settle. Fans can smell when a beef is being kept on life support just to help a chart position, and Cardi effectively exposed the machinery behind the strategy Latto was using. While Latto was trying to gain sympathy from the public, the over-communication from Cardi actually made her look like the more mature and honest person in this room. You have to look at the different life stages of these two women to understand why the perspective from Cardi is resonating more with the audience right now. Cardi has been moving with a different kind of maturity lately, especially considering her relationship with Stephon Diggs and the birth of her baby in November of 2025. That motherhood layer added a grounded energy to her response that Latto tried to mirror without being able to execute it the same way. Latto wanted to play the role of the hurt friend, but Cardi showed up as the busy mother who tried to do the right thing and was ignored by someone looking for a headline. This is a completely different vibe than the Kendrick versus Drake beef we saw earlier this year, where silence was used as the primary weapon for both sides. In this specific situation, the choice Cardi made to be loud and detailed with her receipts actually won her public favor because it took away the ability for Latto to play the victim. By dropping the names of managers and sisters who ducked her calls, Cardi made sure there was absolutely nowhere left for Latto to hide. The fans are starting to realize Latto chose to stay mad for an entire year just so she could have a viral talking point for her press run, and that is a nasty look for anyone claiming to be above industry games. Before we move on and see how Latto ignoring those private apologies from 2025 actually killed her whole credibility, tell me what y'all think about her holding on to a year-old grudge just for a viral rollout moment. Is it nasty work to stay mad that long just for a press run, or was she actually hurt? Tell me in the comments. No cap. While you at it, like and subscribe. Let's continue. Latto ignoring those private apologies from 2025 and 2026 is exactly what killed her credibility in this whole situation. She could have taken the apology and the payment Cardi offered back then to keep things solid, but she clearly saw more value in a diss track than a radio spot. Cardi destroyed that narrative because she did more than just talk. She actually showed the world what she did to fix the mistake. This makes Latto look like she wanted the drama more than the peace. And that is a classic rollout trap for any artist. Latto wanted a moment to define her new era, but she ended up being defined by the very receipts she tried to hide from the fans. Cardi proved she is still the queen of social media warfare because she did not let Latto sit on that Breakfast Club throne for even a full day before snatching the crown back with pure facts. This whole mess is a warning to anyone who thinks they can use an old leak to start a war without the other side showing the work they did to apologize. Cardi showed that a well-timed truth is always going to be a well-timed rollout. The timing of this situation gets even more intense when you realize Latto was on her own journey into motherhood while this drama was bubbling. It came out that Latto was actually pregnant when that original audio leaked back in September of 2025 during the fallout of her interview. She gave birth to her daughter in May of 2026, which was just a few weeks before she sat down on the radio to start the fire again. You would think two women going through the same life-altering experience of pregnancy would find some common ground, but the music industry is way too cold for that. This shared experience should have been a bridge for them to connect, especially since Cardi was reaching out with a sincere apology to make things right. Instead, it looks like Latto tried to weaponize her motherhood to make Cardi look like a bully for attacking a pregnant peer. The problem is that Cardi was also 8 months pregnant and overwhelmed when she made those original comments, so that sympathy play did not work. This is a wild situation where both artists were vulnerable, but only one was trying to fix things behind the scenes while the other was saving the grudge for a release date. When you look at the industry players involved, the whole thing starts to look like a massive setup to create a civil war in female rap. That original leak came from a call with the manager for Ice Spice, James Roseman Jr., and that is a detail nobody should ignore. It suggests there are people in the background who gain a lot from keeping these top-tier women at each other's throats for engagement. By leaking that audio, the management teams turned Cardi and Latto into pawns in a much bigger game for market share. It is a nasty reality where a friendship is sacrificed just to generate a few headlines and viral clips for the labels. Latto seems to have leaned into that manipulation by making the diss track and the interview the center of her Big Mama rollout. Even when other artists like Akbar 5 tried to jump into the middle for some clout, the fans saw right through the noise. Nobody cared about what Akbar had to say because the focus was strictly on the receipts Cardi was dropping on X. The audience is getting much smarter in 2026, and they can tell the difference between a real conflict and a manufactured play for numbers. By the time we got to June 8th of 2026, Latto was already signaling that she was ready to move on from all the drama. After the backlash from the receipts hit the timeline, the energy around the Gimme That rollout started to shift from excitement to total skepticism. Latto realized the victim narrative was not sticking because the digital paper trail was just too clear for her to ignore. She tried to pivot and act like she was taking the high road, but the damage to her rollout was already done. Those receipts Cardi left on X have permanently stained the Big Mama era because every time someone hears that diss track, they will remember the situation. People are going to remember that Latto ignored a private apology just to keep the beef alive for her sales. That is a heavy price to pay for a viral moment that did not even last a week before it was debunked. Cardi proved she was the one trying to handle things with respect while Latto was dragging it out for the cameras. Look, the bottom line is that Cardi B showed everybody exactly how you handle a public mess in 2026. She didn't just win because she had better bars or insults, because she actually dismantled everything Latto was trying to do by sticking to the actual facts. In this era of the rap game, the person with the most receipts is always going to come out on top when the fans start picking sides. Latto thought she could take a situation from a year ago and twist it into a whole new narrative, but she forgot that Cardi keeps everything saved and ready to go. This whole thing goes way deeper than just two friends falling out, and it shows you can't force a beef with someone who is actually moving with good intentions. Cardi came through with the specific dates and the names of every person who was dodging her calls, and Latto just couldn't match that level of proof. Before we get into whether Latto can even bounce back from this disaster, tell me if you think she was wrong for holding on to a grudge just to boost her sales. Maybe you think Cardi was the one out of line for putting their private business on blast. Let me know what you think in the comments. No cap. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next drop. Let's continue with the rest of the story for today.